Hey everyone, just going to wait for a couple of people to come in. Maybe two quick tweets. I'm trying to use my Twitter account more. Quick market review. I'll suck at Twitter. Got some new Twitter followers today. I've been very lazy with Twitter recently. Actually, for a very long time. I joined Twitter in like 2007 or something when I was working for Ogilvy. And I got bored with my job and I just sat on Twitter and accumulated followers for like a month before I left. So I probably should be doing that again. But yeah, so yeah, quick market review. Obviously, last night was NVIDIA earnings, and things got kind of crazy. There were watch parties in NYC, people in bars sitting around drinking beer, listening to the NVIDIA financial statement. Doesn't sound like a hugely good time. And some tweets saying that he thought it was signs of a market top for basically the whole US stock market, I assume is what he meant. And then I saw another tweet listing some data. I don't know if you want to call it data, but just that the percentage of NVIDIA employees that obviously have stock comps that are now millionaires, and some of them are, have net worths over $20 million, like 10% of them or something crazy. That was Ansem's tweet, that he thought that was a top signal, which is kind of reasonable, rational, I guess. When you've got a relatively average, I don't want to say average, but you've got a normal job working for NVIDIA and your stock options are worth $20 million, you're probably going to want to sell some of those stocks, because that's life-changing money, that's retirement money. So yeah, maybe. And NVIDIA beat, if you didn't know, the whole world must know by now. They beat, as they have done for, the last 40 earnings, bar one. So, I mean, it was a pretty safe bet, I guess, based on the track records that they were going to beat. They didn't beat by a lot. 4.5% on revenue, 5% on earnings. And the stock hasn't exactly rocketed skyward since then. So I said yesterday on stream, if they don't beat by a lot, if they come in roughly in line with expectations, there's a chance this thing could easily just sell off rather than pump or hold its position. So you've got a big volume node down here. It's possible it comes down here and retests. Things like a huge percentage, not huge, but it's 6.5% of the S&P and 7% of the NASDAQ. Pretty heavy weighting. It's kind of mad that people sit around worrying about NVIDIA earnings for completely unrelated assets like shitcoins and bitcoins. So yeah, that could also be a sign of some toppiness. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just basically reporting what other people have said here. So you do have like kind of a little downtrend here. Let's see what the RSI is doing. It's kind of making lower highs here. So, could be a sign of weakness / consolidation. Maybe you do get some kind of inverted head and shoulders printed as it comes down here. Be interesting to watch anyway. I didn't really have any read on this. And then, yeah, just moving on to Bitcoin. Obviously, monthly close is in 2 days' time, 2.5 days. And previous monthlies have been interesting in that we've pretty much held this level of, the highest GM chess, highest previous monthly close last cycle in October 21 was up here at 61K. and we've pretty much held that, which has been nice to see. I guess if nothing else, it's kind of a signal that we've moved on from the last cycle, made new highs, and everything beneath those highs is getting brought up as an opportunity. That's good to see that the market's behaving like that. This current monthly is slightly below, so in the next 2 days it would be good to see this also shuffle up here and close above 61. That would be encouraging for to keep the candle alive, keep the hope alive that this consolidation range will break to the upside before the end of the year. Hopefully, if not next month, then in October is probably the big hopium month prior to elections. That's when people like Arthur Hayes are expecting Janet Yellen to issue a bunch of treasuries, buy back a bunch of treasuries, for the Fed to step in and be the marginal buyer of those treasuries if need be. And that's where your liquidity is going to come from. In addition to the massive sell-off in DXY, which so far hasn't really helped us on the crypto side of things a whole hell of a lot. Interesting to see we have got that bounce, a little bit of a bounce that I kind of talked about last time on stream and also in the newsletter. We got heavily oversold here on the 3-day, and it's given us a little bit of a bounce. It's pretty pathetic so far. And the indices have, it's early days yet after NVIDIA earnings, but it looks like indices are holding. There was some sell-off. If I zoom into the 1 hourly, yesterday afternoon, there was some kind of panicky sell-off pre-NVIDIA earnings up until roughly when those earnings came out, even into when the earnings call started. And then we've had recovery in post-market trading. This is obviously the futures, NASDAQ futures. Similar deal for the S&P futures. We'll see what happens when the market opens in a little bit. So yeah, not looking too bad on the TradFi front. Yeah, that's a nice big daily candle on futures. That doesn't always play out when the market actually opens, so we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, and then this was just LayerZero. Maybe we should talk more about Bitcoin before we get onto LayerZero. Let's change this to Bitcoin. Bitstamp index. It's better. So, just zooming in. Obviously, we had this horrible selling cascade starting on Monday and into early Tuesday morning. Massive dump. This was kind of the do or die level for me to remain bullish. You had to kind of hope that this would be tested and we'd go up from there if we're going to continue this nice recovery. That didn't happen. If we switch to the daily, that's the wrong MA. I guess that's on a 400 because let's change it to 400 and the 12-hour, which gives you the 200 daily moving average. We reclaimed and then lost it, which is not a great sign. Although when we lost it before, we kind of tried to reclaim and failed. When we lost it before here, tried to reclaim and failed, tried to reclaim, failed, and then reclaimed. So this kind of chop does happen. Didn't look great that we came all the way down here, but I think there was just some dumb shit happening, leverage-wise and open interest-wise. People opening giant longs, just getting rinsed, losing a lot of money, inexplicable stuff. I don't have the tweets to hand, but I think there's some crazy behavior on the Hyperliquid and maybe elsewhere, which is just asking for this kind of punishment. When you open weak longs into shitty price action with a lack of conviction, you're asking for market makers to take your money, which is what's happened. Hopefully degenerates can learn a bit of a lesson, and we can, start to repair this pretty ugly picture. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. I mean, we can draw the levels here. This was obviously this was a newsletter chart on Monday, I think, Bitcoin, and yesterday as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we put this in yesterday. That's right. Yeah. So if you get the whole consolidation range going, this is the level that I didn't want us to test again, and we've pretty much just scraped past it. I think smart Bitcoin holders know this level should not be tested again. If this is a recovery, you don't want to, we tested it here. You don't really want to come back and test it again. And also when Bitcoin behaves bullishly out of a big sell-off, it tends to go straight up. It often doesn't even retest. Not this cycle, not in this consolidation. But that's the kind of behavior we've gotten used to in previous cycles, maybe even in the bull run from October. You basically get a big sharp sell-off. Everybody panics, and then people start getting cautiously bullish. They want to buy retests, and you often don't get the retest. So fine that we had this one. You don't really want to see a second retest of this level, especially because this whole consolidation, we've made a lower low here, didn't hold. Lower low again, didn't hold. Lower low again. So to my mind, if this fails and we come back down here, this is not going to hold. We're going to make another lower low. And if we do, then you have to look all the way down here. At 43 is basically where you're going, this area, which will be very ugly. But yeah, Bitcoin's looking kind of weak. If we zoom in, it's looking better here. Definitely looking better here. This morning it looked really shitty. Looks like some buyers have been stepping in, taking some liquidity up there. Where are my liquidity maps? Here we go. Yeah, so Tyler Durden posted this early this morning. Obviously, that's not his name. I think he's in Australia. Pretty decent trader. I'm not sure where he's getting this data from, if it's Velo or somebody else. So this is basically liquidation levels for all the short action. You can see this is cumulative volume delta at the bottom here. This is just comparing buys to sells on Binance Perps. So you can just see the massive volume of selling from pretty much this level here. So there's a lot of stops all the way down here of people that have gone short, which gives you these liquidation levels. And market makers' job is to find liquidity. Like a chart's job, generally, how a chart behaves is determined largely by two factors, basically finding fair value and finding liquidity in service of the market maker, because the market maker's job is to find where the market is going to do business. Now, whether that's forced business because you're taking out stops, or just finding places where people have set limits. And often forced selling is how it goes. So, there's a lot of liquidity up here. Some down here, but probably a lot more above, which is bullish for a short squeeze. Although this liquidation map is not giving me as bullish a picture for a short squeeze. Maybe this is just more up to date. If we zoom out and look at the CoinGlass liquidation heat map, this is a free tool. This is pretty handy. There are other liquidation heat maps out there that you have to pay for. I can't remember the other one, but this one's handy. So you can see this level here, 61 is a big level. This is just below. There's chance of some liquidation here. It looks like we've just taken this level here, actually, with that recent spike up. So it'll be interesting to see if we hold up here. This is obviously 60 level is important on the weekly. I think we should just have a quick look at the Bitcoin weekly, because in 2 days we have monthly close, and the weekly close will be interesting immediately after. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, so you kind of want the weekly to close above here, above this level, which is actually, that's more important for the monthly, but I mean, same deal already. 61, you don't want this ugly, massive red body on this weekly candle, because it gives people directional bias. It shows you've made a big lower high. These are already lower highs, but they're more gradual, so it looks, maybe like a bit of a bull flag. This doesn't look bullish in any way, shape, or form. And a monthly close down here is not great. We at least need to cover some distance from where this opened. The monthly doesn't look too bad, but it would be good to see it up here. Weekly above 61, I think, for it to look halfway decent. 62, this is resistance here. So yeah, some distance to cover. Yeah, and then just looking at, this is ETH. Let's just look at the Bitcoin one. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of liquidity resting here at 62. So hopefully we get some market makers try and hunt this. If we can get continuation here, maybe continue up, retest, and then keep going into weekly close. Maybe this level is on the cards. There's some juicy liquidity here. And then just funding, Bitcoin funding has been a little bit negative, not massively. On the 12-hour, we've had this is projected, this is actual. You can see we had a couple of red days in this bearish price action here. Things look like a rounding top here. That affects sentiment, affects positioning. Got some red funding days here. People are going short, some late shorts got punished, pumped out of that. I don't know if we need to go lower here. Maybe sweep this low before we can reverse. It just looks really ugly, and you don't want to get downward momentum. That's what I'm worried about. Yeah, so that is Bitcoin. And this is just a bullish meme that I have a small bag of. The old Skibbity toilet. Massive meme on YouTube. Kids love the shit. It's just a dude's head popping out of the toilet. It's got like a bazillion followers on YouTube. And this meme has somehow survived. Picked this up somewhere around here. Consolidated for ages. This was a big level. Eventually pumped through it on the just after 5th of July dump. Like, this is a huge dump for Bitcoin on the 5th of July, and then this thing took off out of that dump for some reason. Rejected at this level here where the previous wick was, and then pumped through it. And we, pumped up to this level, retested the old level. So this is now kind of a range with the VWAP in the middle. Been grinding along the bottom here of the range after retesting, and this has built up a lot of volume, a lot of support, and we've just reclaimed the VWAP. So this kind of says to me, if this is a range where this bottom is solid, we've reclaimed the mid-range, then the next logical place to go is the top of the range, which is at about 17 cents. It's a log chart. So that would be just over a 2x from here. Looks like a decent trade. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, and this is just something I tweeted this morning. I got this from None Your Business, who's a Bitcoin OG, I guess. Pladizo, Pladizow on Twitter. It's basically the gold chart adjusted for inflation, super long-term charts going all the way back to 60s. You can see the massive pump here from 1971 when the US finally ditched the gold standard for good, which basically kicked off a huge gold bull run into 1980, I think. Yeah, the top was 1980. This big wick. These are 12-month candles. And since then, we've basically been painting a huge sort of cup and handle with a bit of a double bottom over here. This is the initial COVID gold pump when all the stimmies got printed. And you can see we've just broken out of the structure. So to me, this is a validation of I kind of have a general thesis that gold's entering a secular bull market. Made all-time highs, like a year ago? I'm guessing off the top of my head. But yeah, this looks super strong and super clean as well. Super interesting how adjusting for inflation gives you this nice clean chart with this huge level over here that's been around since 1980. And this is just a testament to the level of monetary debasement that we're dealing with. Interesting also, in 2004, the gold ETFs were approved. Gold was at $440, not inflation adjusted price back then, and peaked up here in 2011, I think around 2000 off the top of my head. And it's been consolidating under that level ever since. So yeah, super bullish for gold. You know, this was what, a 10-year run from 01 to 2012, 2011. I think you're probably going to get something similar at least until into the end of the decade. I don't think monetary debasement's going away. Nothing stops the train, as Lynn Alden always says. The US is painted itself into a corner with the level of debt, with the level of fiscal spending that they basically cannot stop, with entitlements, with an aging population, demographics. They just have to keep printing money for the perpetual war machine that they seem to enjoy so much. So yeah, to me, this is just going up and to the right into the end of the decade and probably beyond, you know, up here somewhere. This could easily go to 10K. You know, obviously not inflation adjusted price. It's at 2.5 now. 10K is only a 4x from here. Probably hit that, you know, if I had to guess, before the end of the decade, maybe in a couple of years even. So yeah, interesting charts. Oh yeah, and then this is ETH, pretty high time frame view. So here's the massive sell-off we had on the 5th of August. This looked like a fractal to me with, you know, this head and shoulders structure here, big sell-off, and then, you know, upwards consolidation. Maybe we get something similar here. In terms of more recent price action, this sell-off basically tested this big support structure here, wicked out of it. I've been chopping around here, and we've just tested the top of the structure again. So this could even be a good long. Basically, I would wait for the weekly to see if it closes above 2,600. There's also quite a lot of liquidity sitting here at about 2,610 to 20. You can see it on this heat map. Where is it? Don't tell me it's just been taken. That's entirely possible with that Bitcoin pump. Maybe it was. Let's zoom in. This is super long term. No, it's not taken yet, but it looks like that liquidity has been removed. Or has it? Let's zoom out to 3 day. No, there it is. Yeah, 2616 is the core of it. So yeah, I think it's likely we go for this liquidity next. the top of which is around 2620. And then you've got a big chunk of liquidity over here at 2,700. Basically, everyone went short. Not everyone, but a lot of people went short over here and put their stops above. So there's a chance market makers will want to hunt this liquidity. Oh yeah, this is just a tweet from Nick, CoinTrader Nick on Twitter. Smart dudes, always got pretty original tweets. Basically just commenting on the fact that we've had this sideways, down but sideways price action since mid-March. Saying it's improbable, you know, for people who think there's bear markets around the corner, that the top is in, the game is over, jig is up. He's just reminding you, you know, we're on a halving year. It's improbable you get 170 days to sell within 10 to 15% of the cycle top. So yeah, this range hasn't been that dramatic. It's only in the last few days that we've, well, not a few days, but I guess the 5th of August bottom, we were minus 30%. So the longer the range persists, the more you should be convinced we go higher. When we top out, top buyers will draw down 40 to 50% within a month. That's the immediacy of the pain after the euphoria. So yeah, that is true. That's been the case for pretty much every cycle top, even last cycle, where it kind of double topped. And there was a loss of momentum instead of the usual blow off top. So he's saying less, caveat being, unless there's a new paradigm, super cyclic, etc., then you wouldn't be faced with traditional bear markets anyway. Yeah, of course. And then this guy, this is to be expected. This is kind of a, one rejection of that thesis. Similar as in 2021, and everyone said that we wouldn't have a rounded top. And he's just saying the shape of the top is irrelevant. It's about the pain of the immediacy of the drawdown, which is true. You know, it was kind of a rounded top, but the sell-off was pretty brutal and painful. And it didn't take anywhere near as long as what this consolidation has taken. So, you know, that's kind of borne out by this, you know, when you look at the monthly, how these monthly closes, the top and bottom of these monthly candles, it's a pretty tight range. This to me looks like consolidation. If this could close a little bit higher, I'd appreciate it. So it doesn't start to look like we're losing momentum. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool tweet. Oh yeah, and then I wanted to look at the helium charts, and in addition to that, a couple of other things. I mean, some shitcoins are doing pretty well at the moment. Helium's definitely one of them. Mantra and altcoin flow. I'm in my channel just now shilling the bags, which I appreciate. Always appreciate a good bag shill. I have been shotting this thing, but of course I don't have a bag because I'm an idiot. So this thing printed a beautiful inverted head and shoulders bottom, pumped out of it, kind of retested the neckline. I drew this purple box and we basically just teabagged the top of it, and we didn't actually go into it. But yeah, this is an interesting protocol and also kind of indicative of the anti-meme pump. You know, it's a utility token. Just get rid of this thing. Yeah, so this network actually works. It's decentralized wireless networks. There are 3 tokens involved, but this HNT Helium token is the one that is used to pay network operators. It's the big incentive token. And what we are finding now, what's happening now is that traditional mobile carriers are offloading their loads. You know, when their network's busy, they're offloading to Helium infrastructure, which is kind of a new thing, apparently, just based on the chats I had a few minutes ago, which seems to be massively ramping up the throughput of the network, incentivizing people to set up new nodes. So yeah, it's doing pretty well. And just on a technical level, just delete all this stuff. If you do, what is that? A trend-based fib extension from this last run up. You know, this thing tops out at almost $50, so this could be pretty juicy. If majors can recover, this thing doesn't even seem to give that much of a shit about majors. So, you know, we had a bad week last week, but this week's super chunky, basically the opposite of Bitcoin, which had a good week last week and a shit week this week. So, yeah, this thing seems to be actually a protocol with good financial incentives, potentially a real business being built here. And then let's just look at LayerZero, because that is super strong as well. Weekly candle, just a massive hammer. Monthly candle, similar. Zoom in out to, let's look at the 4-hour and get the volume profile up, because there's a massive point of control over here, which we sold off through into the new week, bottomed over here, and we've reclaimed. Very similar PA to what we had over here, but it looks to me like this thing is going up here. I looked at it this morning and stupidly did not open along. RSI, show me the stochastic. Okay, I think, yeah, it's close to a top, but I suspect this will go up to this line and maybe then pull back 50% from there to the middle of this point of control and this level range. But yeah, there's going to be some liquidity up here. If it double tops, it could do 50% retrace, and that might be a good entry. Super bullish LayerZero, as I keep saying, just because it knits all these disparate L1s together and kind of cleans up the whole crypto ecosystem to have this messaging protocol that allows for an omni-chain to manifest. Chain abstraction and omni-chain stuff just seems like the way forward to me. If any of these, you know, blockchains are going to persist, we're going to have a multi-chain future, then you're going to need stuff like LayerZero. So yeah, if we tag up there and consolidate underneath, super bullish, you're probably going up here next. This is your next volume node, little one here, but I don't think this will be major resistance. I think this is your next level after this one, or retrace probably down to here, which might be a level to buy for a trip back up to here, through and up to this level. Yeah, so this looks pretty strong. Bunch of strong alts. Helium and LayerZero, definitely two of the stronger ones. Let's just look at this list here. And nothing really jumping out here. Comp still kind of weak, but needs to reclaim this level here at 52. ARB kind of having not the strongest of days, but still looks pretty good. High time frame, still got a bag of ARB. This is the monthly. Monthly's looking decent. If we can close it above here, that would be better. TRX still strong as fuck. World's most hated rally. Look at this weekly candle. Highest weekly close ever. There are not many other coins that have done this, or none that I'm aware of. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, so this thing is basically closed higher than last cycle highs. I mean, Solana's done it on market cap chart, but not on price charts. It's 240 versus 210 this cycle. Yeah, I think Tron's undervalued, and this thing is going to keep going. Regardless of what you think of scammer Justin Sun. It's basically like a $14 billion market cap. that has more USDT on it than the whole of Ethereum at 300 billion. Massively useful for global remittances. Yeah. Well, guys, unless you've got any requests, I'm going to leave it there because I've got to go and do the newsletter chart. Yeah. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Yeah. Talk to you soon.